I'm confessing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a confession.
Dear Sybil, tell me everything.
So, if you all remember, we talked about lube a few episodes ago. And
yeah, we did. The minty kind, but not the
and
minty
Alex
kind.
mentioned that the peppermint lube was a good time.
Uh-oh.
So I tried the peppermint lube.
Oh no, what happened?
It was actually a really good time.
Yeah, okay, good. I like it. I like to hear it.
Yeah. So I will say that I'm not kidding. So if you go back, dear listener, and you listen, you'll remember that my hand was tingly for a long time, like 30 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta wash your hands.
My vagina was also tingly for well after the time in which it needed to be. I did a workout, I did other things. I'd be like, no, still tingling.
Still tingling. It's very
still tingling. It was just very refreshing.
It feels great on a hot day.
It was just very refreshing. But it was actually very nice. So I would not have usually tried that. I would have been like, oh, hell no. But Alex, my friend, was like, you should. Also, I will say I love the CBD. I really do.
Oh, yeah. I want to try that one.
Yeah, I really do. I'm really enjoying it. So more to come as I'm allowed to talk about it.
More to come.
Exactly. More to come. Mm-hmm. Yes. This is that show, people, right? We can all talk about these things. We're estheticians. We talk about buttholes and labias and whatnot.
It just
oh my gosh. So I have I'm going to piggyback on that confession. So I had a pet sitter in, and I have a bunch of, all my spa stuff. All my spa art is on the walls. And my philosophy on spa art is it should be naked people, because people are going to get naked in front of you. Mm-hmm. So all of it's like naked women. And so I was talking to her, and she was like, I thought you were a lesbian. And I was like, why? And she goes, well, you have so much flesh on the wall. And I'm like, oh, I just like naked ladies.
Naked ladies.
I just not like naked ladies.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. No, but it was really funny. And she just like stood there. And I'm like, no, I had a spa. And this is the reason why all my pictures are naked. Because I do have I have like unicorns. If you came over to my house, my art would be unicorns, cats, and naked women.
Mm-hmm. This is true. I can confirm. Can confirm.
All right, let's get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out. But we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. So let's get started.
Today is the show about the things that suck and how to do them anyway. So welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we're talking about doing shit you don't want to do. Literally all of the sucky things. And a little bit else. What is that other else?
And why sometimes you have no choices and you just got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we're questioning those things.
Maybe we are questioning those things. So if you remember last episode, and I talked about my laundry debacle where my property was kidnapped for 4 days. We also talked about doing stuff you don't want to do. And as we talked about that, I was like, let's put a pin in that. We're going to come back to it. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I think that this is an interesting topic, because as business owners and solopreneurs, there's shit we don't want to do that we just have to do.
Taxes.
Period.
Bookkeeping.
Yeah. But see, when you say that too, like this is all stuff where I'm like, I have tricked my brain into enjoying it, which I was just like, why is this so different? So I'm going to reference today a lot one of my favorite books about this, which is called The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. The subtitle is The Indispensable Personality Profiles That Reveal How to Make Your Life Better and Other People's Lives Better Too. So obviously, Sybil and I are not of the same personality type. So let me kind of describe who they are. Also, pick up this book. It is freaking awesome. So the four tendencies are the upholder, the obliger, the rebel, and the questioner. The upholder meets outer expectations and inner expectations. And so if you could sum that up, it would be discipline is my freedom. The obliger meets outer expectations, but resists inner expectations. You can count on me, and I'm counting on you to count on me. So if I tell you to do it, then you'll do it, but you can't get yourself to do that.
Right.
The rebel resists outer expectations and resists inner expectations. You can't make me, and neither can I. Just gonna let that hang. And then the last is the questioner, who resists outer expectations but meets inner expectations. So I'll comply if you convince me why. No shock to anyone listening. I'm a questioner. True and true, with a questioner leaning more towards upholder. Discipline is my freedom. Y'all, I mean, I talk about spreadsheets and things like that. Sybil, do any of these speak to you?
Not even a little bit. I don't even want to play this game. I don't want to talk about it.
Sybil's a rebel. So when it comes to doing things you don't want to do, and you talk even about taxes, like if it makes sense to my brain, I'm in it 100%. And that, like, understanding that from this book has made my life so much easier. A perfect story to demonstrate this is 7th grade. I was in the band. Our teacher was Mrs. Branchflower. I did not like Mrs. Branchflower, and I just, made it difficult for us both all year long, because I was like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Like, I have no interest in participating in this discussion. She took away my saxophone. Okay.
Oh,
she took away my saxophone. Yeah, it was dramatic. So as I've grown up, it's like grown up, like I have, there are things like taxes, right? Like laundry, like bookkeeping, like, just dishes. Like customer service, just like there's this shit we have to do. And I just wanted to kind of talk about like the ways we get ourselves through that, because we are so different that I know we have different processes and systems.
True. This also could be called the hashtag adulting episode. So like for reals, right? When people are like adulting, I'm like, this is just the stuff that has to get done.
Yes. So how do you get yourself to do shit? Like, what's like, actually bookkeeping, I think for you is like
bookkeeping is the worst. If you want to watch Sybil have like a meltdown and how bad life is, watch Sybil try to do bookkeeping.
So but that's also something like you have to do in your business. So how have you navigated that over the last 17 years?
Absolutely. So I just understand that it has to be done, and therefore I tell myself it has to be done. And I then procrastinate until it has to get done. I give myself lots of anxiety about it because I don't want to do it. So I avoid it. I avoid it hard. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, no, now it really has to be done. So just effing get it done. Stop making excuses. And I have to give myself like a hardcore pep talk. I have to give myself the like hardcore pep talk. Be like, don't be a fucking little baby and just do it.
Does that work?
It does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I give myself hardcore pep talks. Like, I'll be like, don't be a little bitch and just fucking do the job. It just needs to get done. Stop crying about it and just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do it. But the thing is also, I don't feel any reward when it's done. So like, I don't like, we've talked about the other thing of the other side of that would be to have these like tiny celebrations, right?
Right. Yep.
Because I had to like give myself that horrible pep talk. It's not like I'm like, good job. I'm like, that's right. You fucking did it, you little bitch. Okay.
You don't feel like relief or anything?
No.
So interesting.
No, it's just done. Now it's just done. And it's going to have to be done again because I know it's coming again. I already know it's on its way. It's on the horizon.
Yeah. Which like, it's just, again, it's so interesting because we are so very different. And I guess I'm just trying to think. Well, like as a questioner type personality too, like the things that I struggle most with, and this isn't always like the numbers, like I'm gonna talk, taxes and stuff. But another thing that has come up of something like I want to do and I know would be beneficial, and I just can't bring myself to do it. So I feel like that kind of also falls into that shit you don't want to do category.
Absolutely.
But that's meditation. So I had a long time where I was like meditating and I like all was fine and dandy, but I was doing it in a way to literally check a box. Mm-hmm. I was doing it to be like, well, I meditated, which to me is like, that's not the purpose. Like, that's not the point.
Right. Instead of like changing my brain chemistry and my outlook with meditation, right? You're just like, I meditate, check.
Yeah, it was performative meditation.
Right.
And then,
which by the way tells you everything you need to know about who Alex is.
I know. Since realizing that, yeah, I don't do it. I can't, like, I literally can't do it. I can't, it like doesn't even come up in my brain as, like, there's not even like I was gonna say there is like a little bit of guilt, like you should be meditating, but it's just like it's not happening, and yet it's something I know would be helpful and valuable. So I also just want to plant a seed too, like perhaps as well, right? It's not just about that thing, that there may be other stuff underneath it.
Yeah.
So I bought a book because if I understand why I should do it or how to do it a certain way, then it makes sense, it clicks, and then I can do it. About trauma and mindfulness and creating safe spaces for mindfulness in a nervous system that has experienced trauma. And if you're like, I don't have trauma, if you have lived through the last 2 years, you have trauma.
Well, welcome to 2020 and 2021.
And then 2022 is just like, fuck everything.
Once again, looking for the knife. So far, I've avoided it in the yard. So
Jesus. Yeah. So I also just want to like put that pin in it too, is like, we can laugh about the money things and all of that stuff, but like maybe sometimes there is a deeper reason and some introspection or, working with a professional to help kind of figure out, because it's also like, there are these things like that we want to do. Maybe. I mean, it's like the other side of the coin of this, like these things that we want to do that we just can't bring ourselves to do. Like there's probably like another reason going on. With laundry, which I know is spapreneurs are so much laundry. And you were giving me a hard time because yes, I do have a tiny washing machine. And when I wash something, I'm like, gosh, this brings me so much joy. And yet I still don't want to do like my entire laundry. I don't want to. I don't have room. It's too small. It comes out crispy. I'm not going to do it. And so I don't have a workaround for that other than like outsourcing it. But that costs money, So it's just like.
These are all the things that your brain goes through when it's like, I don't want to do the thing. And then you like do then you go like the questioning, well, why don't I want to do the thing? How could I make myself want to do this thing? How could I not do this thing and it still work out for me?
Yeah.
You almost go through these like phases of denial and like you go through like all the phases, right? You're like the hate, the denial, the grief. You go through all these phases when you in the avoidance of doing something that you don't want to do.
Yeah. And I feel like with business stuff, like there's shit like you have to. There's no way getting around it, like and taxes for sure.
Right. And everybody says, oh, well, you can farm stuff. Like everybody will tell you, oh, but you can just get somebody to do that. There are things in life at the end of the day where you will have to do it and you probably just don't like it. And so the best thing to do is to figure out a way to make it okay to do.
Yeah. I mean, even I'm thinking like for me in bookkeeping, like my money stories have been a huge hurdle and constantly are. And I taught myself bookkeeping because I had no choice. I had to just get my numbers down and like figure out what the fuck was going on. And that also, like when you reach a place where you can pay someone else to do it, knowing how it's done, even if you can't do it well, just keeps you from getting kind of swindled.
Yes.
I've also had experiences where I hired somebody to do a job that I could do, but like it was a little bit beyond my know-how. And then I let them be the full expert and like take away my agency. And then they did a garbage job that I had to pay somebody else to redo when I really could have just like been more direct. So I think there's always value, especially with outsourcing, if you know enough about the thing. And so maybe too, like would it be motivating for you if you're like, okay, I'm just going to do this until I reach this benchmark and then I'm going to pass it off? Like, does your brain work with that?
So there's a couple, so when we were having this conversation, there's a bunch of stuff about bookkeeping. So when I was first in business, I didn't mind doing my books. I didn't. Like I sat down, I actually loved doing it because it helped me like go through my numbers and I really understood like what the detail of my business. And then when I hit a certain size, like I just ran out of time. Like it really comes down to the time factor of like, I don't love it. Like I don't love it enough to want to have to do it while I also have all these other things that I have to do. And so like the time factor became like, for me, time is so valuable. Like I actually understand like every minute that goes by how much my time is worth. And so like for me, I feel that pressure and I'm like, oh my God, I want to have somebody else do this. So one of the things that I did do this year is I did it last year is I paid with my PPP money, I paid a bookkeeper to just do everything. And it was magic. I was like, this is magic. I'm like, I wish I could afford the $12,000 to do this every year. This is magical. This is fantastic.
So expensive.
Right. To get everything in order, to fix everything that like for the past few years. I mean, they just went through like, and they managed everything.
Well, and they can do it faster because it's like their thing. Their
Right.
thing
This
is
is what
like magic with your hands.
Expert. Right. They're experts at the thing. So now, because I can't, I went to them and I'm like, what are my other options? And after I was like, they're like, you could do this, you could do this. I'm like, I can't do any of those things. Like, well, we have a thing where essentially we sit down with you for an hour once a month and you do your books. And what we literally just sit for an hour on like a Zoom call while you do your books. And if you have questions, you just ask us.
Oh, wow.
And so that's $40. And I can do for $40. I can do that. And literally as I do my bookkeeping for the month, I'll be like, I don't know what to do with this. How do I do this? What? And other people who are in the group ask questions. I'm like, oh, that is a good question. I actually am doing that wrong. So I'm also learning things as I do it. And there is for me, I know something about being in a group setting that keeps me accountable. So it does make me accountable to have that time set aside for the hour to do my bookkeeping.
Yeah.
So I mean, that has really helped me not hate it quite as much.
I think with all things, especially when it's something that we have to do that's not necessarily our like zone of genius or like what we're really great at.
Yeah.
Having someone who is an expert that you can ask questions of when you're not at a place to completely farm it out is so tremendously helpful. And I did that too. In this last year, I hired, similar to what you're talking about, $40. I can ask you questions. We can do it together. It's a group setting. Like I'm not having a one-on-one. And like that made this last year so much easier.
Yeah.
And then also like there's always for anything like cloud-based, internet-based, there's always Upwork.com. You're going to hear me talk about that all the time. I've found terrible people on there. I've also found really good people on there.
I'll go ahead and put Fiverr on there. I just hired somebody from Fiverr because Fiverr's cheaper. They don't charge as much. Upwork hard charges like 20%. I'm going to find somebody from Fiverr to do a task. So speaking of tasks that I suck at, that are also very triggering to me right now, is I'm trying to fix a website that's broken that my ex and I put together. And so it was like super triggering me. And I realized it was holding me back from moving forward. And so it was just broken. It was 100% broken. And I didn't want to touch it. And I didn't want to look at it. And so I just hired somebody. When I was like, this is broken on Fiverr. This is broken. Who can fix it? How much money? And some dude's like, $30. I got that for you. I was like, take my money. Make it happen. And Fiverr, you don't pay until it's actually fixed.
Yep. It's also Upwork is like, you pay by the hour. It's not a huge contract. So like I had a bookkeeping problem. And I got a quote for like $6,000 because they're like, well, basically we're going to have to go back through the whole year. And I was like, I know I can do 80% of this. So I went ahead and did it. It took me like 20 minutes once it was pointed out to me from an expert what actually needed to be done. And then I hired somebody online for like $800 to do the job. 1,000% worth it because now it's done, Right.
Ta-da.
I know, like magic.
Ta-da. And by the way, when it comes to just side note, when it comes to bookkeeping, you pay people.
Yeah.
Just at some point, it's like the first thing I tell business owners, the first person you hire is not a social media expert. It's actually a bookkeeper.
Yeah, I would.
Hire bookkeeper people. Seriously, your life will be so much better long term. Oh my God.
I agree with that. Okay. So another kind of like tactic I use to like make stuff more enjoyable when it's like something you have to do and you don't want to do it is putting like something enjoyable with it. So I am very rewards based. Maybe it's like, well, after I'm going to watch a show or I'm going to go eat lunch or like do something or I'm going to listen to music. So, making sure that I have like some jamming tunes when I do it. Or like another thing I've started for me, it's like chores around the house, which I fucking hate so much. I'm like, you know what? I just got to do 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. Right. And then the 10-minute timer goes off. You still have a choice. You could walk away and not finish it or stick it out. And like, at least you did something. And that has been also super helpful.
Right. So that 10-minute timer thing is literally so Alex likes to work out. I do not. I find it a chore in and of itself. And that is how I find working out. Like I'll be like on the days I don't want to do it, which is pretty much every day. I'll just be like, well, I'll start for 5 minutes. And in the 5 minutes, if I can go for another 5, awesome. If I don't, whatever, then I did something and I can be like, I worked out today. But a lot of times you'll find that once you're in it, you're not in it. And it's easy enough to be like, well, you're already doing it. Just do a little bit more. And don't look at like the far horizon. You're just looking at like 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, whatever your small incrementals. I can't do 10 minutes at a time workout. I can do 5 minutes at a time. So if you can do a task for 5 minutes.
what if we call it movement? But that's a conversation for another day.
Even movement, it's still exercise in my mind. You're not going to change my mind by however you couch it and phrase it. It doesn't matter to me.
Another note that you said was setting aside time that it won't bother you. Like, what do you mean with that?
Yeah. So there's certain times. So like, that you have like your more creative times. You have your times where you're in a better mood. So I know that there's some times where like, I am better at doing things that I don't like. So in the morning, I'm fresher. I'm less grumpy. Yeah, I'm happier. I might as well do a chore that I hate or something I don't like, because I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to be more optimistic about the day. Whereas at the end of the day or middle of the day, I'll be like, you know what? No, just already no. Just we're done.
Yeah.
Also you'll find that there's certain, like, you'll look outside sometimes, you're like, it's a beautiful day right now. I want to be out walking. This is not the time to make the decision to sit down and do something horrible you don't want to be doing. When your mind is on, like, I wish I was doing this other thing, don't be trying to do the thing that you hate the most.
So true.
Okay.
It's so true.
Picking the right time is important for me.
Yeah. Like, I'll like schedule it on a day where I'm like, that's the one thing I have to do, or like something like that too. And like, it doesn't mean you have to do it right now. You could decide like, I'm going to do it next week on Tuesday, and then just like actually do it. That's the hard part.
just actually do it. Once again, a lot of it for me is having somebody to help me stay accountable.
Definitely.
I really do. So one of the things that's happening on TikTok a lot is you'll notice that there are people who just get together now and they'll just go on a live and be like doing homework.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right? Cleaning my bathroom. And it's because there is something about like this pack mentality where if you're doing something horrible, I can also do something horrible because we're doing something horrible together.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're sharing it. We're sharing in it. And so this is something that I've actually started doing. I've started looking on lives to see like what people are doing. And it'll just be literally people just sitting there doing homework and they're not even talking to each other. Just all sitting doing homework. I cleaned my bathroom 2 days ago with a bunch of clean talk people who were cleaning their bathroom.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love cleaning my bathroom, so it's not a big deal. I love cleaning my bathroom.
I mean, yeah, definitely doing it with somebody else. And like, we live in a time that social media and the internet make it so much easier to connect with other people. And maybe it's not some stranger. Maybe you do like FaceTime your friend, be like, listen, I need to clean this. Like, will you just hang out with me while we do this, or listen to a podcast while you do it? Like, definitely pairing it with something to hold you accountable or make it just slightly more palatable is.
Yeah, I hate shipment. I hate shipment so much. I hate doing shipments so much. But Alex has said, do it on a certain day. So I have started doing that. So that's helped, knowing that it's not looming. The looming of something is horrible. So I now know, like, I've picked a time and a date and a certain allocation of time to get that done. And sometimes it rolls over that time, but like, I'm like, but it started in this time and it'll be okay. By the way, I hate shipments so much.
Thank you for shipping my package today, because I'm running out of serum. My face is going to turn into a leather face. Thank you. Thank you so much. What are other things? I'm just looking at our notes. I mean, just like, oh God, there's just some things I'm like, I don't want to do that.
So sometimes outsourcing isn't financially possible. I think I definitely want to hit on this one.
Yeah.
Because once again, we've talked about the fact that people are always like, outsource. We hear you when you're first in business. Alex, when you were first in business, could you outsource anything?
No. That's why I learned how to do all this shit myself.
That's right.
I didn't want to edit. I couldn't afford to pay anybody. And so I learned.
That's right. Now, I will say, as somebody who I'm an older lady, so sometimes learning how to do things in itself takes a long time. And that is very stressful for me, because I'm like, to learn to edit, I have to then set aside time to learn to edit, to then edit. So it becomes very dramatic and like a useful, you're like spinning your wheels to get nowhere, because you're like, I just want to do this one task and I can't even do that task because I don't even understand how to do it. Right.
I get that.
Right. This is actually when, if you're going to like get help, you go out to all the people and say, hey, I just want you to show me how to do something. And I'm going to go back to something that Alex said at one point in time about, she was getting a pelvic floor. She was getting her pelvic floor work done. Right? Yeah. You literally said to her, I want to be able to do this myself because I know I can't afford to see you all the time.
Yep. 100%.
Explain to me how you do this. Set me up for success so that I can do this. So once again, if you're going to, maybe you can't afford to outsource everything, but maybe you could afford to outsource an instruction lesson.
Which, I mean, honestly like best money spent because it gets you over the hump and you have somebody else to like point out what you don't know or what you can't see, like paying people who know what they're doing, you know, and just open the door to conversation. Like, how much would it cost? What would it look like if this is actually what I'm looking for? Like, how would it fit into what you offer? You know, that's super. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, because I'm paying a tech person right now to update a bunch of my tech stuff for me. And literally part of the contract is that she has like a download, I call it a download. She has a download with me where she explains to me what she's done. And if I want to learn any of it, I can add on a small training session to that. So I'm like, I do want to know how to do that because I don't understand it.
It's awesome.
And so that was it was really important to me so that I could come along and be like, this is something I could take over if I wanted to, or if I watch you do it, I'm like, no. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. You take that. That's good.
Which is great. Like your perspective is let me, you know, have somebody teach me as we go along. And for the longest time, I was just like, I have to learn this because I can't afford to pay somebody else. So I'm like on YouTube, you know, on social media, on whatever, making mistakes. And like back to bookkeeping, it would have saved me so much time and so much effort and even money had I had it set up properly the first time by hiring someone to like guide me through it instead of being self-taught. So it's also, you know, hindsight's 50-50 and you can figure it out on your own, but having somebody guide you through 1 to maybe 3 sessions is going to make it go a lot smoother for sure.
Absolutely. So something that I did not start doing and probably until like middling through my business years, because I always was like, I don't have enough money. When you have this mindset, you're like, I really don't have enough money. Because I go back sometimes to like, I mean, Alex was really close to it. And my newer business is like, I'm like a startup again. But I'll look at my book and I'll be like, there's money to do this because long term, there's not money not to do this. We're just going to flounder. We're just going to flounder. And this is where, you know, you find seed money, you borrow from your personal, you get a 0% APR credit card. This is what you spend money on. So much better than that new machine.
This is the hill that you are willing to die on, and do not buy that new machine. You do not need it.
So much better than that new machine is the knowledge that you're going to take away that's going to be used in your business forever. Whereas, you know, you don't know how long you're going to use that new machine or if you even need that new machine at the moment.
Also, new machines require maintenance.
To a certain degree. Also, probably things to put into the machine that cost money as well. You know, the upkeep on the machine is like the product that you stick into it, et cetera, you know.
All things to be thinking.
All the stuff.
So I feel like we've done a good, if you don't want to bookkeep now, you're never going to. But just, you know, some different strategies from 2 very different personality types of like how we get to do stuff that we don't want to do because you're going to do some shit you don't want to do. And we're curious too, like what works for you? What tactics or strategies have you found? Or if you're just like, burn it all to hell, I'm not doing it and feeling a little on the struggle bus. Maybe you now hire an expert. I don't know. We want to hear from you. So send us a DM or tag us on Instagram. The show is at Skinfessional, or you can hit up Sybil at Skin Fitness Expert, or you can send me a question or message at Holla for Mala, or you can leave us a voicemail in our box.
Oh my God, we do. We have a phone. And you know what? Estheticians, we still use them. The number is 818-473-5277. And shout out to Rachel, who I literally just looked at my inbox because I haven't for a few weeks. And hi, I don't know when you left that message, but hello. I'm glad you're listening to the show. I'm glad you're having a great time. And I'm glad you're going back to all of our archived episodes.
Yeah, Rachel, you're the bomb. That's exciting. That's super exciting. You could also send us an email too. We read them all at skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. That's Skinfessional, like this show that you're looking at. Just look at your screen. That's how you spell it. It's like Skinfessional. And then POD@gmail.com.
That's correct. All right, everyone. So until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Bye.